Okay, we're live. Hi everyone, welcome to Think and Grow Rich Daily Hangout. This is Sandy Devek, your host, and joined here by Glenn Walker in Tennessee. So I hope everyone had a good weekend, whether you're watching live or... I've been reading from the actual lecture notes that Napoleon Hill did after publishing the book, and we're about to come to a really interesting passage actually about how he found the name for the book. Which I really love, so I just was reading through it before we started here. But last week we read about basically the founding principles of his philosophy, what makes the difference between someone who doesn't really get very far of what they want set out to do, if they even set out to do anything, and the people that do set out to do stuff and that become, some people say it's like the 2% is the minority of people that actually really achieve their dreams or their targets. So I think that you read on Friday, didn't you, Glenn?
Yes, I did. Yeah. And this would be a good one for you to read too. Because if it has good meaning to you too, I think that like it a little bit.
Okay, cool. I'll just share my screen then, and I'll get the book ready. So yeah, and what I like about these lecture notes is that they have some extra anecdotes and little stories that aren't in the book. So that's what we're about to hear. Okay, so let's share. There we go. Okay. So every brain is a broadcasting station and a receiving set. Oops. You can attune that brain so it will attract only the positive vibrations released by other people. By habit, you can train your own mind to pick up all that myriad of vibrations that are floating out there constantly. Train your mind to pick up only the things that are related to what you want most in life. How do you do that? You do that by keeping your mind on what you want most in life, your definite major purpose, or so by repetition, by thought, by action, until finally the brain will not pick up anything not related to that definiteness of purpose. You can educate your brain so that it will absolutely refuse to pick up any vibrations except those related to what you want. When you get your brain under control like that, you'll be on the path, really and truly on the beam. Definiteness of purpose automatically develops self-reliance, personal initiative, imagination, enthusiasm, self-discipline, and concentration of effort, all of these being prerequisites for success of vital importance. Know what you want, have a plan to get it, and have your mind occupy it mostly with the carrying out of that plan. Some plans won't work. When you find out that your plan is not right, discard it immediately and get another one. Keep on until you find one that will work. In the process of doing this, just remember one thing, that maybe somewhere along the line, that infinite intelligence, being gifted with a great deal of wisdom, might have a plan for you better than the one you had yourself. Have an open mind. If you adopt a plan to carry out your major purpose or minor purpose, and it doesn't work well, dismiss that plan, ask for guidance from infinite intelligence, and ask for guidance from infinite intelligence. In order to get that guidance, you have to believe that you can get it. That's crucial. It won't hurt to say it out loud orally that you believe it. Napoleon suspects that the Creator knows your thoughts, but he found that if you express yourself with a lot of enthusiasm, it doesn't hurt any. It doesn't hurt to arouse your subconscious mind. When Napoleon wrote Think and Grow Rich, the original title of it was The 13 Steps to Riches. Both the publisher and Napoleon knew that it was not a box office title they had to have for a $1 million title. The producer kept prodding him every day to give him the title that he wanted, and Napoleon wrote 500 or 600 titles. None of them was any good. One day he scared the dickens out of Napoleon. The publisher called him up and said, "Well, tomorrow morning I've got to have that title, and if you don't have one, I have one that's a humdinger." Napoleon said, "Well, what's that?" And the publisher said, "We're going to call it Use Your Noodle and Get the Boodle." Napoleon said, "My goodness, you'll ruin me. This is a dignified book." The publisher said, "Whether it will or not, that's the title unless you give me a better one by tomorrow morning." Napoleon wants you to follow this incident because it's potent with food for thought. Napoleon sat down on his bed and had a talk with his subconscious. He said, "Now look here, old sub, you and I have gone a long way together, and you've done a lot of things for me, and some things to me, thanks to my ignorance, but I've got to have $1 million title, and I've got to have it by tonight. Do you understand that? Napoleon talked so loudly that the man in the apartment above him thumped on the floor. He didn't blame him, though, because he probably thought that Napoleon was quarreling with his wife or something. Napoleon really gave his subconscious mind no doubt as to what he wanted. He told his sub, it's really got to be $1 million title. Napoleon went to bed when this had charred his subconscious mind until he reached that psychological moment when he knew it was going to produce what he wanted. If he hadn't have gone to that point, he would have still be sitting there on the side of that bed talking to his subconscious. There is a psychological moment, and you can feel it when the power of faith takes over whatever you're trying to do and says, all right, you can relax, this is it. Napoleon went to bed, and at about 2 o'clock in the morning, he woke up as if somebody had shaken him really hard. As he came out of his sleep, Think and Grow Rich was in his mind. He jumped up to his typewriter, wrote it down, and got the telephone and called his publisher. He said, what's the matter? It was 2:30 a.m. by this time. Napoleon said, I have $1 million title. The publisher said, let's have it. Napoleon said, Think and Grow Rich. The publisher said, boy, you've got it. As of 1954, that book has grossed outside of the US over $23 million and will probably gross over $100 million before Napoleon passes on. There's no end to it. That was a multi-million-dollar title. After the thrashing that Napoleon gave his subconscious, he's not surprised that it came over and did a good job. Why didn't Napoleon use that method in the first place? Why did he fool around with it? For the same reason why you know what to do but won't do it. There's no explaining the indifference of mankind towards himself. Even after you know what the score is, you fool around until the last limit before you do anything about it. Just like in prayer, fool around about prayer until it's time a need comes. Until you really have a need for it, I guess. Then you're scared to death, and of course you don't get any results from prayer. If you want to have results from prayer, you condition your mind so that your life is a prayer, day in and day out, every minute of your life, a constant prayer, because it's based upon belief in your dignity and your right, attune into infinite intelligence to have the things that you need in this world. And so it is with the human mind. You've got to condition the mind as you go along from day to day so that when any emergency arrives, you'll be right there and know how to deal with it. Also, the definiteness of purpose makes one budget one's time and plan day-to-day endeavors which lead to the attainment of one's major purpose. If you would sit down and put an hour-by-hour account of the actual work that you put in for each day of 1 week, and then an hour-by-hour account of the time that you waste, that you could devote to anything you want, if you wanted badly enough, you're going to get one of the shocks of your life. We're not efficient. You all have about 8 hours to sleep, about 8 hours to earn a living, and 8 hours of free time that you can do anything you want with here in this country where we live. Definiteness of purpose makes one more alert in recognizing opportunities related to the object of one's major purpose. It inspires the courage to embrace and act upon those opportunities. We all see opportunities almost every day of our lives, which if we embrace them and acted upon them, it could benefit us. There's something in us that we call procrastination. We just don't have the will, the alertness, the determination to embrace opportunities when they come along. If you condition your mind with this philosophy, you'll not only embrace opportunities, but you'll do something better. What could you do better than to embrace an opportunity? Make the opportunity. One of Napoleon's generals, the other Napoleon, came to him one day and they were fixing to attack the next morning. The general said, Sir, these circumstances are just not quite right for the attack tomorrow. Napoleon said, Circumstances? Well, hell, I make the circumstances. Attack. Napoleon has never seen a successful man yet in business that didn't say, when someone says it can't be done, attack. Start where you are, and when you get around to that curve in the road, you'll know you can't see it until you get there. You know you can't see by it until you get there. You'll always find that the road goes on around. Attack. Don't procrastinate. Don't stand still. Attack. Definiteness of purpose inspires confidence in one's integrity and character. It attracts favorable attention of other people. Have you ever thought about that? The whole world would love to see a person walking with his chest sticking out, walking with an atmosphere that tells the whole doggone world that he knows what he's doing and he's right on the way of doing it. People will walk out of the way on the sidewalk and let you go by if you are determined to get by. And you don't have to whistle at them or holler at them or anything of that kind. You just have to send your thoughts ahead with the determination that you're going through that crowd. And believe me, they'll stand aside and let you go through. The world is like that. The man who knows where he's going and is determined to get there will always find willing helpers to cooperate with him. Now there's another very important thing. The greatest of all its benefits, that is the definiteness of purpose, it opens the way for the full exercise of that state of mind known as faith, by making the mind positive and freeing the mind from the limitations of fear, doubt, discouragement, indecision, and procrastination. The very minute that you decide upon something, you know what you want, you know that you're going to do it. All these negatives that have been bothering you pick up their baggage and get out. They just move out. They can't live with a positive mind. Can you imagine a negative frame of mind and a positive frame of mind occupying the same space at the same time? Can you imagine that? No, you can't, because it can't be done. Did you know that the slightest bit of negative mental attitude is sufficient to destroy the power of prayer? Did you know that the slightest bit of a negative mental attitude is sufficient to destroy your plan, whatever it is that you're doing? Carrying out your definiteness of purpose, you have to move with courage, faith, and determination in connection with carrying out your definiteness of purpose. Definiteness of purpose makes one success conscious. In other words, your thoughts are predominantly about success, the can-do part of life, and not the no-can-do. Did you know that the 98% of people who never get anywhere in life are no-can-do people? Any circumstance that you place before them or is placed before them, immediately they fasten their attention on the no-can-do part, the negative part. Napoleon will never forget what happened to him when Mr. Carnegie surprised him and gave him a chance to organize his philosophy. Napoleon tried to give him all the reasons in the world, and he had about six reasons why he couldn't do it. Number one, he didn't have sufficient education. Number two, he didn't have the money. Number three, he didn't have the influence. Number four, he didn't know what the word philosophy meant. And there were two others that immediately popped into Napoleon's mind. And he was trying to get his mouth open to tell Mr. Carnegie that he thanked him for the compliment he paid Napoleon. But what was going on in Napoleon's mind was that he was doubting that Mr. Carnegie was such a good judge of human nature as he had reported to be when he was picking Napoleon to do a job like that. That is what went on in Napoleon's mind. But there was a silent person standing, looking over Napoleon's shoulder, and he said, "Go ahead and tell him you can do it. Spit it out." Napoleon said, "Yes, Mr. Carnegie, I'll accept the commission, and you can depend on it, sir, that I will complete it." He reached over and grabbed Napoleon by the hand and said, "I not only like what you said, but I like the way you said it. That's what I was waiting for." He saw that Napoleon's mind was on fire with belief that he could do it, even though Napoleon didn't have the slightest asset to give him a beginning, other than his determination that he would get the assets necessary to create this philosophy. If Napoleon had wavered in the slightest, if he had said to Mr. Carnegie, "Well, yes, sir, Mr. Carnegie, I'll do my best," Napoleon, sure, he never asked him, that Mr. Carnegie would have taken that opportunity away from him instantly, because it would have indicated that he wasn't too determined to do it. Mr. Carnegie found something in the human mind, in Napoleon's mind, that he had been searching for years. He found it. Napoleon didn't know its value, but he found out the value of it later. You have that same capacity in your mind to know what you want and to be determined that you get it, even though you don't know where to make the first start. What makes a great man or a great woman? Greatness is the ability to recognize the power of your own mind, to embrace it and use it. That's what makes greatness. Every man and every woman can truly become great by the simple process of recognizing his or her own mind, embracing it, and using it. Here are the instructions for applying the principle of a definite major purpose. First, write out a clear statement of your major purpose. Sign it, commit it to memory, and repeat it orally at least once a day in the form of a prayer or an affirmation if you choose. You can see the advantage of this because it places your faith in your creator squarely back of you. Here is the weakest spot in students' activities. They read this, they say, what's the use of writing it out? You might as well not have this lesson if you're going to take that attitude to it. You must write it out. You must go through the physical act of translating the thought onto paper, and then you must memorize it. And then you must start talking to your subconscious mind about it. Give that subconscious mind a pretty good idea of what it is you want. Oh, whoops. Sorry, I just rewound by accident. Oh, a lot. Okay. Okay. It won't hurt any if you remember the $1 million book title story. It won't do a bit of harm if you give your subconscious mind to understand from here on out that you're the boss and you're going to do something about it. You can't expect the subconscious mind or anything else to help you if you don't know what it is you want and if you're not definite about it. 98 out of every 100 people, taking a cross-section of humanity in general, do not know what they want in life and consequently never get it. They take whatever life hands them. In addition to your definite major purpose, you can have minor purposes. They lead you in the direction of your major purpose, provided they are related or lead you to the direction of your major purpose. Your whole life should be devoted to carrying out your definite major purpose in life. Find out what it is you want, and incidentally, it's alright to be modest. Reach out and ask for a bounty. Ask for the things you're entitled to, but in asking, be sure you don't overlook the subsequent instructions that I'm going to give you about what it is you're going to give in return for what you expect. Second, write out a clear, definite outline of the plan or plans by which you intend to achieve the objective or purpose. State the maximum amount of time within which you intend to attain it. Describe it in detail, precisely what you intend to give in return for the realization of the object of your purpose. Make your plan flexible enough to permit changes anytime you're inspired to do so. Remembering that infinite intelligence may present you with a better plan than yours, and oftentimes will do if you are definite about what you want. Do you know what a hunch is? It's your subconscious mind trying to get an idea over to you, and oftentimes you're too indifferent to even let the subconscious mind talk to you for a few moments. Napoleon has heard people say, I had the darndest fool idea today. But that darn fool idea might have been $1 million idea if you would have listened to it and done something about it. Have great respect for these hunches that come to you because there's something outside of yourself trying to communicate with you. Napoleon has a great respect for the hunches that come to him. They come to him constantly. Napoleon finds them always related to something that his mind has been dwelling upon, something that he wants to do, something that he is engaged in. Write out a clear, definite outline of the plan or plans and state in maximum time within which you intend to attain it. That timing is very important. Whatever it is that you consider to be your definite major purpose in life, write it out clearly and time it. I intend to attain within blank of years so-and-so, and describe so-and-so whatever it is. Then in the next paragraph below it, I intend to give in return for these things, I request so, etc., etc., and then describe it. I think I might stop there on this page.
Yeah, I think that's a great stopping stage.
Yeah, we've covered a lot already.
Yeah, it is, actually. I mean, there's a lot of content right there, right? I mean, wow.
Yeah, it's true. And it's, there's something I was going to say, which is gone. Oh, damn. Oh, yeah. It was just that when Andrew Carnegie said to Napoleon Hill, "Are you up for doing this?" Apparently, he had a timer behind his back, and if Napoleon took too long to give him a yes, he would have just retracted the offer, which is kind of
really?
related to what he was saying about, you know, he was watching for the way that he responded, not just what he said, but how he said it. And that was actually, I heard that at a workshop that he had, he had a timer behind his back.
Well, yeah. In fact, in the lecture notes there, they said that Carnegie had been looking for this person for a long time. right? He had been
Yeah.
looking for the person that could put this philosophy out in the world.
Yeah.
So what a mover Carnegie was, right? I mean, he was intent on accomplishing that, and he found the right man to do it.
Yeah.
Right?
Exactly.
Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah. I noticed that for the first time today. I hadn't noticed that last time we read it.
yeah,
Yeah. And he must have. It's interesting to think what he was looking for. He basically said that he. It seems like he was looking for someone who would have that determination and the persistence. You know, like a spark
yeah.
to do it. And isn't it interesting? I just found this so amazing when we were reading this earlier, just now. When Napoleon said yes, he didn't have much to his name. He was a poor journalist, um, working class, didn't have.
He didn't know what philosophy meant.
He didn't know what philosophy meant exactly.
Yeah,
The first thing his mind thought of was all these reasons why he couldn't do it. And
yeah,
imagine, you know, in the end, that book it grossed over in his lifetime probably over $100 million.
yeah.
He
Oh,
went
yeah.
on to interview over a thousand of the most successful entrepreneurs and business owners around the world.
See
I mean,
that,
it's amazing. Huh?
yeah, that transaction with Andrew Carnegie moved him from the 98% into the 2%.
Exactly. And it just struck me as we read it. What if he had said no? You know, what if he'd listened to his mind
Yeah,
instead? It's amazing sometimes we don't see what's in the future. You know, we have a rough idea sometimes, I believe, but you have to. That I think that's where this whole philosophy is so crucial because a lot of people they say I have to see it to believe it. You know, and they don't have faith in that things can unfold like that, way beyond what they even think is possible. And I think
and
it's really easy to
it's
get stuck.
interesting you said that phrase because Greg Kuhn, one of the things he says is, first of all, he said you have to believe it to see it, right?
Yeah,
Then
exactly. Looking
after
around.
that, now he's done a little write up on his blog where he says, "I'll see it after I believe it. I'll see it after I
Exactly.
believe it."
Yeah,
I
yeah,
love
it's
that.
so
You know, I
true.
mean, that's a progression, right? That's moving up the scale of awakeness.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
And I
yeah,
think it's really something I found really helps because sometimes it does happen. I find sometimes, especially when I wake up or after I wake up, there can be it's almost like you. This might sound a bit strange, but I believe that when we sleep, that our
yes.
spirit or our soul it kind of it goes out. You know, it has fun. It goes out around the galaxy,
Oh,
around the world, and
I do too. I believe totally in that. I
yeah,
think our dreams. I think our dreams many times are that, right? Are really.
exactly. They're actually us doing stuff,
Yeah,
and
they
sometimes
are.
I've found, yeah, and
And I mean, people may think we're weird for that, but you know what? I mean, I believe that because I've had fantastic dreams, that I can't believe,
yeah,
Uh,
same here.
yeah,
But
but the
sometimes,
other, yeah, go ahead. I'm sorry.
well, just my point was going to be that so sometimes I've noticed that when I wake up again, and almost like you realize that you're on Earth sometimes, and like especially on Mondays, and I think that's just actually because there's so many people around us that wake up with this, oh God, the weekend's over now. I have to, even though actually I don't really have that much of a difference between my weekdays and my weekends.
Yeah.
Um, but sometimes it can be easy to get this weird feeling of like, oh, you know, like
Oh, back
how's
to the
it going?
grind, that type of thing. Yeah.
Yeah, like almost like you've been out gallivanting around the galaxy and the universe, and then you come back and you're like, oh, okay, uh, I'm back as a human.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so, what I find really can help if I ever get that feeling, first of all, I remember, oh, okay, this is not actually really me. This is just me. Almost like picking up the vibration of this planet. Like it's so many
Yeah.
people live like that. It's almost like it's just the. It's
Yeah.
like
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
you went into a party and the music they were playing was this sad requiem music. You would hear
Yeah.
it when you came back in the room, and it's so I remember that, and then I remember people that I look up to that have done what I want to do, and it's amazing. It's amazing how quickly that works. Like it's instantly that weird feeling goes,
Yeah.
and I think it's like what he was saying about you train your mind only to pick up the vibrations of what will help it. It's
Right.
a way of doing that.
Yeah, but also, you know, what I really liked was in this particular part of the lecture notes was the uh, sternness he had with his subconscious, and then also saying, well, sometimes the subconscious is talking back to you in a hunch, right?
Yeah.
So there's a dialogue, you know, there's a constant dialogue, right, going on as you move through your world, and as you move through your dream, right, as you're, as you're, and I like the other thing he said in there too. You know, really, your life is every minute of your life is a constant prayer, right? It is because you're interacting with the universe, right, or with God, or whatever you want to call it, right? It is. It is a constant prayer. It's but that's great. I mean, that's a good thing. You know, I think that's a marvelous awakeness, right? A marvelous aliveness too. You know.
Yeah, exactly. So that you don't just do it, you know, 5 minutes in the morning when you say an affirmation, and then the rest of the day you don't feel connected to it at all. Like this is a way of you're constantly aware of it, and and I love that he he'd gone through 600 names, 500 to 600 names.
Yes.
And then when he really had to, when that name was, when his publishers said, look, if you if you don't find a name, we're calling it Use Your Noodle to Get the Voodoo.
That was cool. That was a cool story.
I think it actually helped him to get Think and Grow Rich, because if you think about it, it's not that far removed. He's basically saying, use your mind to get the money and think and grow rich.
Think and grow rich, which is just
it's hilarious, really. But it's so interesting that, that like you said, the sternness when he actually finally said, okay, I have to get this name and I have to get it today, and there's just no other way this is going to go. It's amazing, you know. So it's like, I think a lot of the time we just kind of mosey along, and that's a reminder to just really make sure that you have that intensity of, okay, this is happening, what do I need to do?
Yeah.
And I've heard other people, like one of the people I follow, he's very successful. He's just like mega successful. And I first heard him talk about commanding his subconscious mind before he said before he did anything. He works on the internet as well. He would like making a video, for example. He would say, okay, I command my subconscious mind to tell me what I need for this video to do, blah blah blah, whatever outcome he was looking for.
Yeah.
And I found that really strange the first time I heard it, but now it makes a lot more sense.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. It does.
Yeah. So we can do that before I do. Like, okay, subconscious mind, I command you with sternness.
So to move me towards my dream, right? Whatever, whatever it is, And then also sometimes when those hunches come in, like say, you're going down the road and you've got two choices, right? Oh, by the way, that's another interesting thing too. The choices we make, the decisions we make every day, right? Really is kind of like the poem by Robert Frost, Two Roads Diverge, right? One less traveled by. And that's the one I took, and that made all the difference. Well, we make those decisions every day. In fact, almost hourly, right? We make decisions, that can affect where we'll be in the next day or the next month or whatever.
Yeah.
And the point I was getting to was that one of the persons that said this said, when I make those decisions, will that make a better Glenn? Right. In other words, that's how I'll challenge each decision I take.
Yeah.
Will that make a better version of me?
Yeah. Yeah.
And I think, and that's in a way, that's like a prayer too, right? I mean, when you think, it all kind of works together, right?
Yeah. Yeah. I love that, because it's like
will it make a better version of me? You know, you know, if I choose to sit there and eat a bag of potato chips or something like that, does that make a better version of me? Probably not. I've got diabetes, right? And you know, right? I mean, so you know, it's anything you do, right?
Yeah,
you know,
it's
challenge
realizing
one,
our,
you know.
our choices they don't happen in a vacuum. They affect
Yeah,
everything. It's like putting a brick in there. It's like we're constantly building a sculpture, you know, like and each
yeah,
thing we do, each choice we make is putting another brick in
yeah,
the sculpture.
yeah,
And
yeah,
sometimes, like yesterday, I was going through my emails quickly, and there was an email from someone that can be quite negative that I know of,
yeah.
and I was thinking I shouldn't read that email because I thought, like I knew it would
Would
be
make a better Sandy, right?
exactly it would be the opposite of what we're talking about,
Yeah,
and yet there was this curiosity part of me that wanted to see what they had said, and so I clicked and I read it, and then afterwards I felt really crappy, and I was like, oh, I knew I shouldn't have.
darn.
And I had to laugh at myself because I thought I knew that, and I still went ahead and clicked on it. And so when I was reading this part about you tune your mind only to pick up the vibrations, I was laughing inside because I thought, oh my god, that was a great example of not doing that because
Yes.
my senses knew I shouldn't read it. It
Yeah.
was like this kind of, you know, a few years ago I'd have just thought, oh, it's okay, I'll just read it. It doesn't make any difference. But now I
It
know
does
that
make a
every
difference.
single, yeah, like you just said, will it make a better Sandy or,
Right. Yeah.
you know, we know those things. So
Yeah.
cool. Okay, well, I'm gonna take my dog out. So
Well,
uh,
have fun with Chico and in your office, of course. You know.
oh yeah, exactly. The outdoors. I'm
Yeah.
thinking actually I might make the hangouts a little bit later, as we said, because I realized that I really like going out in nature in the morning, and that I think I'm going to start dedicating the mornings to doing that
Yeah.
and not do any online stuff.
Good for
For
the
the
spirit.
moment, yeah. So I'm thinking about doing it at uh, 10 Eastern, I think,
Which
which
would be nine my time then. That would
yeah,
my
yeah.
yeah, that would work for me because we go to the gym early. We go at 7 a.m. usually. You know,
Ah, okay.
Monday, Wednesday, Friday. So that should work fine. You know.
Yeah, because I was even thinking, hesitating between that and 11 Eastern. Because then I was thinking I would just, um, then I wouldn't have to rush back for it. But I'm still thinking, but so tomorrow I think, well, tomorrow will be the same time, but I'm going to think about it again today and then we can chat tomorrow. Maybe from Wednesday go with a new time.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Sounds great.
Yeah, cool. Okay. Well, good to see you again. And
Good to see you. And
happy to.
have a great day, and everybody, and let's have a wonderful week too, right?
Yeah,
Magical.
exactly. Let's use our oodle to get the boodle.
Yeah.
Oh, I did it wrong.
Noodle.
Noodle.
Yeah, noodle. Yeah.
Whatever the boodle may be for
Pasta.
this person. All right, thanks everyone.
Uh, uh,
Bye.
bye bye.
Bye.